I recently held a series of lead magnet audits with owners of a variety of business types. I reviewed an existing lead magnet of theirs and we talked about improvements that they could make to the design, how to make it work in their business more efficiently, and how the magnet could be an actionable tool for their audience to deliver value. Jessica Henderson of Pastimes Marketing helps brick and mortar hobby related businesses with marketing that engages their audience to develop solid customer relationships. For a lead magnet, they were using the retention strategy self audit workbook that they offer for free in their store. We discussed design tweaks to make it easier to read, how interactivity can change it from a checklist into a valuable tool, and what opportunities there are for personalized sequences based on users' self reported answers. Here's our discussion.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk about your lead magnet. It's a lot of fun going through all of the pages. I love that it's like a big hefty one. I love when it's like, don't just get a list of 25 things. It's like, let me work you through a whole workbook. I would love to hear you talk a little bit about how your lead magnet is working so far. I know that this business is very new for you, so you may not have had it deployed very often, but I'd love to hear how it's being received, if people are referencing it at all, and how that's working for you so far.
Yeah, like you said, the business is brand new launched. We've had some clients kind of on the DL before our launch March 8th. So we've only had a couple downloads so far, and the people who have downloaded it haven't quite been exactly who our ideal prospect is. So I don't know how much I want to take their feedback into account.
Sure.
I mean, they said they liked it.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
Yeah, it's like a month old, haven't had very many downloads, but I think
Sure.
this is a great opportunity to start off on the right foot and give a great first
Mhm.
impression.
Is the only place that you're using your lead magnet right now on your website, or are you posting things on LinkedIn? Are you getting into groups and dropping, hey, here's a workbook if that's useful to you, and like specialized business owner groups on Facebook or something like that?
Yeah, so that is all part of the plan. We're not there yet.
Okay.
So we have posted on LinkedIn and Pinterest, our two kind of social media channels that we're working on. Obviously, we've posted on our website. We haven't figured out exactly how we want to use this. We know that creative gets stale. And so we kind of have a few different ones. So, like the one
Mhm.
to subscribe to our newsletter is actually a different lead magnet than this.
I did notice that.
Yeah. So this we're kind of viewing as like a store lead magnet where if we can get someone to purchase a thing for free from our store, they
Mhm.
might be more inclined to purchase a second smaller thing or come back to purchase another thing once they see the value in this free thing.
So this is the self audit workbook. Okay, I see that here, but that's like down
Mm,
farther. There is a tag that says free, but when I sort it, or when I first open it, it's on the second row, the first column.
I think I originally
So
had it in the first row, so I can move that.
yeah, so I do see that there's like up at the top, there's a category for free. So just logistically, I would highlight it a little bit more clearly there if this is like test us out. But yeah, I can totally see how this is more of like a tool. So I understand the logic of using it as like, here's a tool to entice you to buy your other tools. So is the goal of this to get people you had written to demonstrate your expertise and personality, which I love. I think that the narrative framework around everything really does do that. You're talking about like the house metaphor and stuff like that. What is the end goal for the user? Do you want them, well, first of all, what is your goal for the user? And then what do you want the user to be able to do are two totally different questions. But first, we're going to talk about for your business, what is the goal? Do you want them to purchase more things from the store? Or do you want them to sign up to work with you? I know that you've got how we help. You've got the subscription and the audit and a whole bunch of other things, specifically one-to-one services. So what's the main goal of this particular lead magnet?
I'll share the main goal of the business right now, because I think right now we're trying to have everything that we're doing roll up into that main goal of the business. So there's three tiers of service, obviously the store products, which are for smaller budgets
Mhm.
or immediate needs. There's the middle tier, which is the subscription, which is like our monthly training calls and that kind of stuff. And then there's the like high tier of people who have a bigger budget don't have time to do it, we can execute all of that. Our main focus is that middle subscription tier. I think that's going to be the most, we can deliver the most impact and help the most people with the least amount of effort and time on our
Sure.
part.
Hmm.
So everything we're doing, we're trying to send to the subscription.
Okay. And then that subscription also, like that's kind of a community sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
People can connect with each other in the Discord. So I think that like I think you definitely want to get into this in the lead magnet itself. But let's actually, I'm gonna share my screen and we'll pop open the lead magnet and I'll talk through some of the specific things. I love this. I love the consistent color usage. That's really good. I like that you're probably using Canva to put this together, but like you kept the typography like really, really consistent throughout, which like Canva is not always great at.
I use PowerPoint for all my design.
Amazing. No arguments with me, honestly.
Listen, I grew up using InDesign. I was a journalism major, so everything we did was in InDesign. I'm an InDesign pro, and I'm not going to pay for InDesign, so I can do the same things. I know enough about design to be able to design something not disgusting in PowerPoint. I am not a designer, to be clear, though.
So you're speaking to my soul, honestly. That's where I started. But
Yeah.
when I got into the text of this, I did notice that I pulled this apart and this is 11 point font, and that's like a tiny bit small, which I'm guessing most of your clients are going to be using this either desktop or maybe tablet or something like that. Probably nobody's going to do this on a cell phone. Possible, but probably not. Especially since this is like a workbook. It's not, like a narrow little lightweight lead magnet. I wouldn't be afraid to blow it across multiple pages. Another thing that I would do, I would find ways to break up the text and highlight specific things, like use bold, pull things out into like a bigger pull quote, like things that you really want to drive home, do sidebars of things that are really relevant to you. I love this piece, and I think you should definitely use it in certain places, but I wonder also if you could make these a third of the size, make it skinnier over to the side here so that you have more real estate on the page for some of those elements. Just as a general approach, I think that that might be a good thing to do. So going through, as I said, I love that you're putting instruction in front of each of these checklists. You want to interweave the two things because then you're setting somebody up to focus on the exercise you're about to have them do. So you've done a great job with that. I really love it. The text is so small, and I know why you're doing this because you want them to be able to see all of the options and they can count it up. When you're ready to move this to something that's a little bit more interactive, the total score is going to calculate itself. We can add a count if feature that it's like, this is checked off, then your total score is already calculated for you. So you could break this apart. So you could have a page of intro and then you could have even 2 pages for these checklists. Now, this one is super simple stuff that you're not going to probably have a ton of information on. But as you get into some of the stuff about the web presence,
Mhm.
like, does your website have accessibility features so that everyone can easily use it? And you have parenthetical explanation of that, but there's even opportunity for a sidebar. And it's like, not sure
Visual.
what we're doing here. Here's a blog post that we have written that gets into that. You have a chance to add to the education.
Yeah.
And when you're not concerned about all, I don't know, 15 of these being on one page to make the counting part easier, then you can take up as much space as you need and really add little bits like, are you stuck on this? Here's a helpful hint. Or need to dive deeper into this? Here's a specific resource that I can link you to. So
I
I
think
think
that's
like
important because
demonstrating your expertise, you're like,
Mhm.
we've already got you covered on this. Or if you're looking to promote other things in your store, you could link to the specific store stuff.
Or even adding visuals here.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of opportunity to add some visual interest to these things. And especially like if they're not all scrunched on one page, you could bold the most pertinent 4 or 5 words in each of these so it's more skimmable. So that's one opportunity. And then another one, backing up to this, since you're talking about if you score at least 80% in this section, then it's time to move on. I would reiterate that after the total score part. It's like, if this equals 8, then congratulations, you have a great foundation. Let's move on to some of the other more complicated stuff. And if not, here is a resource to help you figure out some of this other stuff. So you just want to keep thinking at each step, what is the next thing that I can point them to? Now, this does shove like a ton of different CTAs into it, but I think it also makes it a really good hub to guide people through your ecosystem.
Well, and even converting the questions to action, like question to task, I think could be interesting too. So it's not like, okay, so does your business do this? No. Okay, here are the 3 things you need to do to ensure that
Mhm.
that's consistently happening.
Yeah. So for some of this stuff, is it easy to park at your stores or easy public transportation? Some of this stuff is not a lot of room for interpretation or ways that you can necessarily add education. But on the other list, absolutely. There's more education you can be doing, more places that you can direct people, or quick wins that you can provide them here. Help them achieve this specific thing. And they're like, before I downloaded this lead magnet, I didn't have that thing done. And now I have done that thing. So I have checked a thing off in my business today, and that feels great.
Making sure there's a tone of like celebration and not a
Yes,
tone of, like overwhelm of like, I can't believe you're not doing all these things, but like, hey, these are all great things to do. If you're doing any amount of these, that's awesome. Keep going.
absolutely. So another thing that we can do when you're ready to take this interactive is like once you hit a certain threshold of things checked off, you could have like a celebration badge pop up or something like that. So it could at 3 points on this, you're like, this is a fantastic start. At 6 points, it's like you're an SEO superstar. Like it could change.
Love that.
Now you've got some tiered things happening here. So definitely you want different CTAs for each tier beyond contact us or something like that. Like you want to point them to specific things. And you have been linking throughout because you said, hey, if you need SEO help, here's this, various marketing points. But I would think through how you want to be supporting each person at each different tier. And it's like if you're scoring 35 points, are they ready for that subscription tier? Or how do you want to be supporting them at these different levels? Another thing that we can do is if you want to give them more of an action focused situation here, we could do summary boxes for maybe one for each of the things. So it's not one big long list, but as people check things off, it subtracts them from the summary box at the end. So at the end, you've got a list of things that they still could work on. And then you could be like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick 2 things from this list to prioritize this week.
Yeah.
Go do them, come back, check them off, and they're gone. So they don't have to go back up. Okay, like what was it in the web presence that I'm still missing? It's like, here's your action plan down here at the end. Maybe there's a space where they can fill in, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to work on for the next week. And just put the emphasis on here's what you can do to take the next step. You're good. Just keep moving. Business is 1 million things all at once. And you can just pick the next thing that you want to do right now.
Yeah. The easy, quick wins that aren't going to take months to execute. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that.
Another opportunity is if these people are in your email list after having downloaded this, which they should be, and hopefully they're getting a specialized welcome sequence that is pertinent to you have gotten this self audit. How is it going? They can click, hey, if you want a little more personalized guidance based on where you're at right now, just tell us, were you in this tier, or this tier? And then they could click the link and then they segment inside of your email. Or you could say, hey, which were your lower scores? Which do you need the most help with? Like if you got under a 4 on whatchamacallit, click here and we'll send you some very specific tips on boosting your knowledge and action taking in that particular area. So then you're self segmenting people into the spots that they
Oh,
get to learn and you get to market to them more
yeah,
effectively.
sure. We get intel that we wouldn't normally have if we're not getting the results of their audit. That's great.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
they may not have to send you the audit back,
Yeah.
but it would be like, if this works for you, if you've done the audit and you want this special set of information, you just click what you need and we will send it to you. We've got you. But then, like, also, you get some information that is useful to you as well.
Yeah. For internal tagging. That's great. That's really
Yes.
smart.
Okay. Now, do you have any questions on anything that we talked about so far?
I don't think so, other than I need pricing from you because I cannot do these things by myself.
I would be more than happy to offer you the least interactive version of this for now. I'll save the interactivity for step two. It would be very easy to incorporate sidebars, link to various relevant things. Like you could do that on your end. Like I don't want to force you into being like, yes, I will hire a designer for this because my brand new business, like that is all stuff that you can do on your end. And then you can even export this to a PDF, and there are places that you can put fields where people can brainstorm or something like that, or pick the thing from the list that they want to do next. You can add those fields yourself. But when we get into the count if, when we get into the summary boxes, like that's where it gets, you can figure it out yourself. You can spend time on the Adobe boards if you want to, because that's how I learned how to do it.
No.
But I would be able to go back in and add some of that interactivity as well, if that's something that's interesting to you.
Yeah, I think design wise, I mean, the feedback you gave here is great, where like, okay, add more space here, add a sidebar here. What do we like? I can design it so that you just have to go in and add the interactive stuff. I think I'm open to like even what is on the high end, like to do it all, just because if this is something that we're going to be pushing and sharing and like
Sure.
our first impression out on LinkedIn and like you mentioned, forums and other stuff, I think that having it be impressive and extremely helpful. Because right now, like it's interesting, it's helpful information, but it's not a
Yes.
tool yet.
That
So
sounds great. I
what
would love to put this together because it'll have a lot of cool things down the sides and do all the things together. I don't know. You have been through my main welcome sequence. I'm pretty sure you're already on my email list. So there are some drawbacks to that interactivity. People have to be using that on a desktop or a laptop, and they have to be opening it through Adobe Reader or Acrobat if they've got it. But what we can also do is we can do like a dumb version where it's like you can click this off and then you can put your own addition in here. It doesn't do like the count if, but you can have the super fancy interactive version, or if you want to be doing this like on a tablet or something like that, you can click this one. So you could offer like 2 downloads.
sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like intended to be a lead magnet. Like if it's something that somebody has paid like $500 for, hopefully they're going to open it the way they're supposed to open it so they get all the magic.
Well,
Like,
it's hard though, thinking about our target customers.
mhm.
They're smaller businesses. They are the very stereotypical business owner who's not a marketer or a business leader, whatever their business is. They have a rock climbing gym. They're a climber, right?
Yeah.
They're not a business leader or marketer, SEO, right? So thinking about who that is and how busy they are and the tools that they have, so many of those folks work off of their phone and tablets. It's something we are monitoring, particularly like website traffic and some of that stuff, just to see, or even email opens. Like, are a lot of our folks mostly desktop, or are we seeing some of that mobile tablet? We obviously have our site and emails optimized for mobile, but yeah, I'll be really curious to see where we land there because I don't know yet.
I think that that's different, but like that versus I am sitting down to like, they're not going to do, spreadsheets on their cell phone. I'm sure they have like business mode at some point. So you just have to be like, you have to be in business mode when you're ready to do this. Like you need to be sitting down somewhere, make yourself a cup of something hot and delicious and sit there with your computer and work through this. And like,
Tone shift in how we talk about this because I do want it to be fun and
mhm.
light, but I also want it to be taken seriously and not just let me scroll through this. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. So I think even in how you talk about it on the product page and the introductory sequence, it's like, look, this is going to be fun. It's going to give you an actionable plan. You're going to end this with knowing the next 2 things you want to do this week.
Yeah, that's great.
But you have to sit down and focus your energy on this for 45 minutes of your time because they're going to know whether they're doing this stuff already or not. And along the way, they're going to get a ton of resources for the stuff they don't know how to do yet.
Oh yeah, I meant to do that, or that's on my list. I just haven't done it yet.
So now we've gathered all of these like summary boxes at the end and are like, this is the thing that I think is going to move my business forward in the next week. Or this is the thing that is going to be so easy to check off. I just haven't done it yet. It's like, That's the thing that I can accomplish, and then I will be done with it, and then it'll be that much better for my business.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure. Thank you so much, Kate. This is really helpful. We'll probably make some tweaks to it and use
yeah,
that version until we're ready to do the thing.
yeah. I want you to walk away from this feeling like, here's a few things I can do in the meantime, and then when I'm ready for the interactivity, like, let's go. So,
For sure. Yeah. And then someday when we're rich and famous, we'll have you do all of them because man, I am not. We've got a ton of this type of content. I think I was pulling up the action guide too, but like all of our guides are kind of similar, not in the same like action orientation, but like we've got 50 content ideas, and that could be an idea of how we pull that into some tool to use. We've got tons and tons of these. So I absolutely believe in the value of your business.
thank you so much. That's awesome.
This niche isn't something that I see a lot of, but it's desperately lacking for a lot of businesses. There's so much more that will make it I
Sure.
mean, we're constantly fighting noise, right? In everywhere that we are. So any way that you can slow someone down to get them thinking and spending time with you because you're providing value
Yes.
in the form of a tool is going to be, really great for your business.
Well, and then I don't want to add interactivity to things just because it's cool. I want to add interactivity because for the end user, it is going to make something easier. We're talking about splitting those lists across multiple pages, not just because we're going to increase the font size and that's going to make it easier to read, but then you are adding a little friction because somebody has to go back and like count, 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 like on multiple pages. And so this just takes it out of that one tiny piece of friction. It just removes that from the equation. It's like, okay, keep going. You've got this.
You had mentioned that ours is fairly robust. I think we like it. We don't
Mhm.
want to obviously give away everything, but we want to give away a lot of what we're doing so that we do demonstrate expertise and personality. But do you most often recommend something shorter or smaller?
That's really going to be like up to the owner. I want to demonstrate value. I want somebody to have a win from a lead magnet. Giving away a workbook with ways to take action in that workbook is amazing. And then if I have had that transformational experience because that person helped me do a thing that I have been putting off for 6 months, the next time that person's name pops up in my inbox, I'm like, much closer to clicking yes, I want to read that instead of I'm overwhelmed by my inbox. I'm going to delete a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can deliver value in a shorter thing, like I've done one page lead magnets for sure, I've done shorter ones. But if you can deliver value in a shorter amount of space, that's great. But if you need to unwind and take up space across multiple pages, I don't think you should resist doing that just because it's a lead magnet.
Yeah. I mean, I think also shorter lead magnets I find when I get them from others, I'm like, this should have been a blog post. Like this should have been a free blog post.
Yeah.
And
Do you want to get this blog post in a PDF format?
yeah, so I think because we have a fairly robust blog that we're continually adding to, the shorter stuff lives there.
And you can connect to the shorter stuff from this thing and like help people find the resources that help them take action on the things that they're still missing. Yeah.
This was awesome. Thank you so much, Kate. I really appreciate your time. It was very generous of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.